Hi there, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. It's Friday, which means another crypto interest rates and news update. Today is the 21st of January 2022, and just a very brief update this week. I actually had laser eye surgery yesterday, so I've been away from my computer for the last sort of 48 hours. I thought I'd just jump on and make a very brief update video just with 2 or 3 stories that I think are pretty important this week. So nothing major to announce with the new coins or interest rate changes. I'll be going over this in detail in the next few days, but moving on to the token prices, and the big news really in the last 24 hours, massive pullback in the price of Bitcoin, currently down almost 12% over the last 24 hours. Currently, as I record this, trading under $38,500, and the other tokens basically broadly down in line with it. Nexo and Yield Up down a fraction less than Bitcoin. Crypto.com and Celsius down a little bit more, but all within that same kind of ballpark. We had this really big pullback, a little bit of a tiny kind of recovery, and it looks like we're dipping down again and now as I'm recording this. I'll be interested to see whether this is a continued kind of downtrend, whether this is just like a sort of like a jumping off point and we go down even further, maybe down to the sort of 36 and a half mark, or whether, you know, we sort of consolidate here and bounce back. But a lot of people, I think, reasonably positive that this is, we're getting towards the end of the bottom of this kind of like continued kind of like pullback from our all-time high of sort of like 69,000 towards the end of last year, and it's been a sort of downward pressure all the way from that, well over 40% down from that now. So yeah, not been a great couple of months for Bitcoin or the crypto industry in general. A lot of altcoins have been outperforming Bitcoin. A lot of altcoins outperforming Bitcoin over the last kind of couple of months. We've seen even this month a little bit of a resurgence in Cardano, which have been on a pretty poor trajectory over the last few months, and stuff like kind of Phantom and various other kind of coins performing pretty well, but everything down at the moment, and this coincides with obviously tech stocks, a lot of downward kind of pressure, not just within kind of crypto, but within the larger kind of stock markets as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and what plays out over the next kind of few days. But moving on to a couple of stories I think probably people will want to know about this week. I think the big story this week is the Cryptocom Hack. So this was announced, I think it was probably Wednesday morning. A few people logged in and seemed to have missing funds. And it was kind of like withdrawals were basically withdrawals were stopped from the kind of platform. Everybody had to reset their 2FA, and it does look now that it was a two-factor authentication compromise that led to this kind of hack. It's $34 million, so it's gone up from, initially it was 15 million. So the initial kind of reports were that it was 15 million of Ethereum, which it was, but on top of that another 19 million of Bitcoin and a small amount of other currencies as well. So that's a grand total of about 34 million. So not quite as much as a Celsius hack a month or so ago, but pretty embarrassing for Crypto.com. They are going to make good for everybody's accounts from their own reserves, but you know, obviously this is one of the risks of these kind of platforms. If there was a larger scale hack on one of these kind of platforms, would potentially affect their ability to kind of like just make good from their own kind of reserves and kind of profits. So a little bit embarrassing from Crypto.com. They've been on a big push, a big publicity drive and drive for more users over the last few months, with a huge number of sponsorships and partnerships. So a little bit embarrassing. It will be interesting to see whether it kind of sort of dampens down that kind of adoption curve of Crypto.com, particularly in the US. But interesting to see what happens and whether we get some more information about exactly what happened in the next few days. But they did admit this finally, I think it was yesterday when I was out of office. And then moving on to a few more stories. Firstly, Yield App, the version 2 that we mentioned last week has now launched, and there will be a 20% yield lockup promotion. So this actually runs for quite a while, so it runs between now and the 1st of March, as you can see here. But for during that time, you will be able to lock up your yield tokens, should you wish to do so, for 12 months, and you will get a 20% annual interest on the holding instead of the standard 12%. So if you do hold yield tokens and you were interested in locking them up for a period, you're going to hold onto them for a period of time, you can lock them up and get a bonus if you're willing to lock them up rather for 12 months. And then moving on, a couple of stories quickly from BlockFi before we stop. Firstly, the announcement they're going to be launching BlockFi wallet. So this is quite an interesting development. So as you can read here, in an ongoing effort to provide you with scalable industry-leading products, we're launching BlockFi Wallet. BlockFi Wallet is a non-interest bearing account for you to easily buy, sell and store your crypto assets securely with industry-leading custodians. So a lot of people were like, well, why on earth would somebody want to use the BlockFi Wallet when you can use a BlockFi interest account? And this does seem to be just basically appeasement basically for US regulators. So a lot of individual state Securities and Exchange Commissions are looking really quite strictly at crypto interest accounts. They've been looking at kind of BlockFi, Celsius as well as various other kind of platforms. And this looks like potentially first step in a sort of like a broader kind of a broader suite of kind of changes to try and appease those. So I imagine that anybody within states affected by the ban on crypto interest accounts will just be moved into the standard kind of wallet. It doesn't affect anybody who is holding crypto in their in the standard interest bearing account, and you'll be able to swap between the two accounts seamlessly at no cost as well. But it does look like this is a way to just appease some of the kind of regulations that have been coming BlockFi's way, as well as some of the other platforms' way in the last few months. But we'll keep you posted on this as it kind of launches and as people start to use it. And then finally, a little bit of a fun story here. BlockFi have sponsored the Real Bedford soccer team. So those of you who have been in crypto for a while will undoubtedly know who Peter McCormack is. He runs the What Bitcoin Did podcast, and sure a number of you also know that recently he bought his local football team here in the UK. In the UK we call it football. If you're in the US it would be soccer. It's like a small kind of like non-league team, but people who've watched What Bitcoin Did will know that his podcast has for quite a while been sponsored by BlockFi, and they are sponsoring the Real Bedford. It's actually Bedford FC at the moment. I think at the end of the season they can rename to Real Bedford, but it's a bit of a kind of fun little thing. They produce some memes, and they've been asking people to kind of submit kind of memes to them. But yeah, interesting to see this kind of happen. It's a legitimate kind of sponsorship opportunity. I doubt it costs them a huge amount, but be interesting really to see what Real Bedford do over the next few seasons. Hopefully they kind of move up a few divisions. If you want to find out about it, you can follow them on Twitter. Anyway, that's it for this week. As I said, a little bit of a shorter update than normal, but I haven't really been at the computer because of my eye surgery yesterday. So anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching as always. Let me know if you have questions or comments in the comments below. Hopefully I'll see you on the next video, but until then, have a great day. Bye bye.